What's going on, everyone? Talen here with Talen Collects Figures, and we are back with another figure today. This is a figure that I've had in my collection for a while now, and it is one of the figures that I actually probably like the least out of the figures that I have. I'm just very kind of disappointed with like the quality and the look of this figure. I really wanted a figure of Miyuki here, and I don't know. I just picked this one up because it was really cheap. I couldn't find any other figures for like a reasonable price. It was like either get the really cheap one or spend like $200 or $300 on one. So that's kind of why I got her. That was back, when I was searching for figures of her. So I don't know if there's any more cheaper versions nowadays. I should probably check around. But this is one that I'm probably going to be getting rid of kind of soon, because I'm going to be moving rooms here. Actually, so in my house right now, I'm going to be switching to a bigger room so that I can kind of display my figures a little bit better. And at that time, I was kind of do a cleanup of figures that either I don't really like as much anymore, I don't, kind of look at as much, or I just found that maybe I don't like that particular character as much anymore. I might be getting rid of some figures and then kind of rearranging them and maybe picking up different versions of certain figures, which is probably going to be the case for her. I'd like to still have a Miyuki figure, so I'm thinking of getting a different version of her. The one that's been catching my eye is the one from Penguin Parade. So that one has looked pretty good to me. I need to see if I can find that one for a reasonable price, but I kind of like the design of that figure. I like the look of the face of that figure, at least from the pictures. I've never seen it in person. Sometimes pictures can be pretty deceiving here, but this one right here, this is the Miyuki figure from FuRyu, and this is probably the reason why I haven't really give FuRyu a chance at any of their figures since I've bought this one. I just kind of assume that their quality will be really bad, even though they do have a lot of characters that I like for a cheap price. But I keep remembering this figure and thinking, oh, what if the quality is really bad? What if I don't like the figure? And all of that kind of stuff. But is she a prize figure? I can't remember. I think she was a prize figure. She was released in 2014. I can't remember exactly when I picked her up. I think this was another early figure I got when I first started collecting in like 2018. I bought her on Amazon for I think I only paid like $10 or $15 if I'm being honest here. And I think she only was retailed as like a $15 or $20 figure, price figure. But yeah, I just didn't really like the face of the figure. That's one of the things that was bugging me. I think it's kind of just how the nose looks. Maybe it's too flat. Maybe it's her chin is drawn in too much from the nose. That might be why, because I don't know. I've just never really liked this figure, and looks better kind of like up close, but when I have her on display or farther away, like the colors, they just look very awkward together for some reason. Almost like the coloring of her skin versus how her hair looks or something. I don't know. It just can't really describe it. It just looks really weird when I have her on display, but then when I bring her up closer, it seems like the colors start to separate more and look a little bit better. But I still I don't know. I'm just not a fan of this figure. Which again, would be good for like a cheap, just a cheap figure if you wanted to just have a version of her in your collection, which is kind of why I got this figure in the first place, because I wanted a Miyuki figure. And like I said, there wasn't any really good middle kind of budget options. There was basically just like a cheap one and expensive one at the time. So I'll see if I can pick up a different version of her at some point here, maybe in the next couple months, but we'll see. But still, this is not as bad quality as I thought it was going to be, from my memory at least, because I haven't actually looked at this figure or examined her in quite a while. But the materials actually don't feel horrible. It is that hard plastic though, like that feels like it'll just snap. Like it doesn't really have much bend or give to it. It's just gonna like feel like it turns brittle and just snaps on you. I don't know. I guess it's mainly the face is why I don't like this, and probably the paint. You can see how like glossy and shiny the paint is. Doesn't look like it has much depth to it. It's really reflective, whereas a lot of figures that I have, the paint isn't necessarily this reflective and doesn't look as kind of like dull or kind of washed out. Maybe it was just like a one pass. Maybe there's like no shading or something like that. Maybe it's only one layer, whereas some of the other figures are multiple layers. I don't really know. All I know is I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of this figure. If you have her and you like her, I mean, that's fine. Like I said, it's based off your taste as well, because it could be the size of the figure, because I know I've said in the past I don't like the 1/10 scale figures, like the smaller figures, because for some reason the faces really bug me when they get down to that smaller size. So that could be what's going on here, because this is one of the smaller figures in my collection. I believe she looks even smaller than actually, no, she is about the same size as my 1/10 figures that I have, because I have a few in my collection. So she probably is about the size of a 1/10 figure, maybe even a little smaller. But anyway, this is Miyuki here from FuRyu. All right, so there we go. Hopefully you got a good idea of what the figure looks like. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this one. Let me know if you have this figure, if you're happy with her or not. If you have a different version of Miyuki, I'm curious to know if you have one that looks really good, that you think is a really nice representation. Because I am still hunting. Like I said, I have my eye on the Penguin Parade one, but I'm definitely not ready to pull the trigger on that one. I'm still going to be looking around, seeing what options I have for finding a Miyuki figure. I'm probably going to check to see if there's maybe any more in the works, since, well, not too recently now, but they had the 3rd season of Irregulars come out, and she actually just recently had her own spin-off, didn't they, of the Irregulars through her vision instead of, oh my gosh, I forgot the main character's name, instead of her brother's view. But yeah, so I haven't watched that one yet, so maybe I'll watch that series and see what that's like, because it's more centered around her. And yeah, we'll see from there. But that's gonna be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed, and of course I will catch you in the next one.